All right. Hello, tea family. How are you this evening? I'm glad you're here with joining us today. As you join, please say hello and the chat or the comments. Let us know what you're drinking today. I'm drinking a combination of water and I will have a tea that I will be drinking today. It will be a very special tea. No pun intended on that one. Today, we're going to be talking about one of our newest creations. Yes, I did say one, but I am going to focus on just this one today. And we have kind of given it the name Pumpkin Time. This has been a very requested flavor. And we would have people come up to us all the time. When are you going to make a pumpkin spice tea? Have you thought about a pumpkin spice tea? Well, I didn't want to make one that was like everybody else's. I wanted to make sure that we could freeze dry the pumpkin and it was going to be able to go through multiple brews. You know, there were a lot of things. Now, the other thing is when we created it, it was funny because we started with a lot of different ideas for recipes. So get comfy. My handy dandy assistant is here to let me know if there are any comments or questions that you put in there. So feel free to ask along the way. Grab a cup of your favorite tea. Let's get comfortable and get starting. So we're going to start with making this, and I'm going to show it to you. This is currently what Pumpkin Time looks like. So yes, that's freeze-dried pumpkin. It does have a black tea. We did a Yunnan from Kenya here. Cinnamon, it has ginger, nutmeg, and maybe a little something else, but we won't tell you everything. So I'm going to go ahead and brew up a cup. Now, my handy dandy assistant will pour. He doesn't want to burn me. As you can tell, we were setting up today, and so we not in our regular spot, but okay. Then we're going to set this to 3 minutes because it is a black tea. So we are going to do a 3-minute first brew. That's really important because we also need that pumpkin to rehydrate since it's been freeze-dried. And that is why one of our testers actually made the suggestion we cut back on the pumpkin because the second and third brew had even more pumpkin flavor. So this is one of the times where that freeze-dried fruit is going to give you great flavor in the first brew, but even more in the second and the third. So keep that in mind. We did adjust the recipe, which brings me to, well, hello, Stephanie. She's having her onyx chai. I am not surprised. So one of the things that we wanted to do was use a black tea base. Although we are already experimenting with a caffeine-free version of our Pumpkin Time, we really wanted to focus on true freeze-dried pumpkin. You know, we don't do artificial flavors. We don't do sprayed-on flavors. We don't do those kind of oils things to get the flavor. We only use real ingredients. And so we wanted to be able to make sure we could freeze dry the pumpkin ourselves but carefully balance that with some warming spices. Now, here's the other thing. We weren't trying to recreate pumpkin spice tea as we did it because there is no one pumpkin spice. Everybody does it a little different. And because of that, we didn't want to create something that tasted like everything else. We still wanted the tea to be the best note in it. So we really wanted to play with the flavors. And then what happened, and I will even show you really quickly right here, none of these are the actual correct recipe. So if you snatch that really quickly, you won't see the actual recipe on there. But one of the things that we found was that we had tons of ideas. In fact, we started with 5 different recipes right off the top because there's so many different ways to go when you're making a pumpkin spice blend or a pumpkin time tea blend. One of them had black tea, pumpkin, apple, and ginger. You know, kind of that pumpkin apple meets the ginger. I actually really did like that one, but it wasn't quite what we decided we were going for. Then we're like, okay, but should we have just pumpkin, black tea, and maybe vanilla to give you that really kind of pumpkin bread kind of feel? And then we're thinking, well, you know, we're really going to kind of want something that's got kind of an autumn feel to it. So warm, comforting, inviting, something you're going to want to think about for the fall when we had it. So we're trying to think really that we wanted to have a good aroma, and we really liked 3, 2, 1, and there we are. And as you can see in a second, there we go. It has really expanded, but you can still see some of the pumpkin in there and the other spices, and you see how much this has hydrated. Now that is what our tea looks like. It does look like a black tea. Sorry, everybody. I'm trying to balance not pouring it on the laptop while I make sure I get in the camera shot. So I'll let this cool. This was just boiling. So then we were thinking, well, what if we did the vanilla, you know? And then we're like, okay, but what if we thought about a different kind of black tea? So we had some experiments with a couple of different kinds of black tea. And we thought, what if we did pumpkin, cinnamon, ginger, but maybe a little orange zest? So a lot of people have orange zest or an orange note to their pumpkin spice tea or their pumpkin spice anything. That was pretty good. That came in a close second for us. Another one we did is, what if we did pumpkin, cinnamon, vanilla, and nutmeg? We kind of stuck more like a pumpkin pie with whipped cream kind of flavoring. Then we were, okay, what if we used kind of that sweet Yunnan tea, black tea from Kenya, or it would be honeybush for those that are wanting something caffeine free because it adds a note of sweetness, either one. Pumpkin, cinnamon, nutmeg, and then ginger. We left some of the other things out. The other thing is we had to be careful not to have so many spices that it was going to really reduce the pumpkin part of pumpkin spice. So that is why we kind of ended up here. I sent it, got feedback. We have tweaked the recipe a little bit from our testers, but I think we're really happy with this one. When we tried it iced, it was really, really amazing. That was surprising how good it was, because I am not a huge pumpkin spice kind of everything kind of guy. So, do we have a pumpkin tea? Yes. Will it be here forever? It is not going to be a year-round tea. That is not our intent right this second. People typically think of it as that fall, kind of like our appealing. That's that apple black tea in the fall. That's when they really, really like to have it. So, Stephanie says she might play with cacao when she makes it. She loves pumpkin spice ice tea. Yeah, I'm telling you, this one, I was shocked, especially when we did so we brewed it hot for the first cup, and then we tried it, and then when we brewed it hot for the second cup, and we could kind of tell with what some of the tasters were saying, you got even more pumpkin flavor. So then we iced that and then tried it again, and it was just delicious. So that's one of my favorite kind of parts of creating the new tea, is trying it. And then my next part is when I have it, I've had it hot and had it cold. That's when I also love to try and pair it with different foods and see how it plays and how the flavors come out compared to different foods. So I love that kind of experimenting, tasting it, taking the notes, adjusting the ingredients. Sometimes just a tiny amount of a change, just a couple of grams or tenths of a gram here or there really, really can make a huge, huge difference. So we played with this recipe several times, and we may play with it one more time, but I have a question for you. So when you're thinking fall, what flavor do you prefer? What do you think the flavor of fall is? I'm going to throw out some ideas. Is it pumpkin? Is it apples? Is it maple? Caramel? Something completely different? What do you think the flavor of fall is? Put it in the chat or the comments for us. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and taste it while I give you a chance to do that. Of course, it is, 93 degrees, but feels like 101. So, I'm glistening here. I'm going to say it's not a heavy tea. It is a lighter tea than you would anticipate. Really, really good. And when we make the rest of this up. For the others, we're definitely going to ice it and probably have it with breakfast in the morning. So one of the things I like about this tea is it's pretty balanced. The spices round everything out. There's nothing one flavor that like completely wipes out the rest of them. You get a good balance. So let's talk about food. I know everybody immediately thinks, well, you're going to have your pumpkin spice tea or pumpkin thyme tea with, you know, pumpkin pie. And that's going to work beautifully. You're going to have some of the similar flavorings. You're going to have some of the same similar spices. It's always going to play well. But I really want to say that I think this one shines with some pairings that people may not have thought of. Okay, so Stephanie says, in answer to the question, pumpkin, warm spices, apples say fall for her. And then I also have, well, I don't see their names, so I apologize. But on our other media, definitely apples. And another one says maple. Makes sense. Handy dandy assistant, what's yours?
Candy corn.
Candy corn? No, that's not a flavor of fall.
Yeah, it is.
It's not a flavor of fall. Anyway. So one of the things I want you to consider with this is the fall. One of the great things about it is you can get into soup season, and I would say a roasted butternut squash soup, or kind of a squash soup, on an early autumn afternoon would be great, because pumpkin, squash, they're going to complement, but then the spices would also have a nice blend. Okay, you can definitely tell I'm from New England with this pairing. Okay, I accept it. I call it myself fresh apples with some sharp white cheddar cheese. Now, I know that there are a lot of New Englanders that have pumpkin pie, have apple pie, and they put a sharp cheddar cheese on it. Sharp white cheddar has to be white, not the orange stuff. And I can't tell you how delicious it is. Now, given a choice, I'm going to go with vanilla ice cream, or I'm going to go with cream on mine. But I have had it and it's delicious. But I really love the fresh apple to bring some sweetness and help bring some of the sweetness out of the pumpkin in this. And then you have the spices, but then you have the bite of the white cheddar, and that's also going to add a creamy note to it. So you're really balancing kind of and contrasting at the same time with some of those flavors. Maple glazed roasted vegetables. So if you're glazing them, instead of using like a sweet balsamic vinegar, maybe move to like an apple cider vinegar, and or just maple glaze, those kind of things. Okay, here's another one. I would absolutely have this tea with a warm cornbread with some honey butter, especially if you had a really good chili with it. Chili's going to bring spices. The cornbread is going to bring some sweetness along with the honey butter. And then you've got the pumpkin in there and the black tea. So it's going to help just compare and contrast and complement so many flavors. All right, here's one you might not have thought of. I know people talk, like roasted turkey, absolutely. Cranberry spread, absolutely. Pumpkin ravioli with the sage butter, absolutely. But you might not have thought of just a simple rustic chicken pot pie would work really, really well with this one. That is going to be very surprising to many people, but just a very simple rustic chicken pot pie. You're going to have some of the similar flavors that you would have kind of on a Thanksgiving table, but you don't think about that necessarily because we talk about turkey around Thanksgiving time and fall, but like that chicken pot pie, absolutely. Another thing you might not think of for a dessert pairing with this would be a fresh pear tart. Not canned, because that'll add too much sweetness, but Stephanie made a chicken pot pie for supper tonight. I love that. So you need to rush to my house, I guess, and grab some of this. But I love that fresh pear. So it's sweet, but it's not as sweet. Enjoy some of that with this pumpkin thyme tea. Perfect.
The bananas and sweet potatoes. That's weird.
Yeah, cornbread. It is definitely time for chili in the cooler weather. I am greedily still trying to enjoy summer. I feel like I missed most of it. I missed a lot of spring and a lot of summer, and so I'm trying to catch up now. So I don't need it to turn cold quite yet, just a little bit long. I need a little bit more. But I add banana to my roasting pan when I'm roasting sweet potatoes. My dad loved cheddar with his apples. He's from upstate New York. See, it's a Northeast thing. The apple pie and the extra sharp white cheddar cheese. It is a New England thing. Okay. Other pairings to consider. Other brown butter cookies. So when you brown the butter, you're going to add some of that caramel notes to it to really perfect with the pumpkin time tea. Even as we're kind of in the season right now of peaches, some grilled peaches. So, especially if you grill them and you add just a hint of char to them, but not a lot, but that's going to really kind of play off the notes in the black tea. And it's perfect because, you have that late summer into fall and you might want to start drinking some pumpkin tea, but that is another one that most people wouldn't think of, but like I would do grilled peaches with this one for sure. But I urge you to try different combinations for yourself. There's a lot in there, again, you're contrasting flavors or you have complementary flavors, but don't be afraid to think outside the box.
You can take the pumpkin spice tea and dip it in.
We're not going to take our pumpkin spice tea and dip the turkey in it.
Turkey's fall.
No, that's just it.
Peppermint.
Okay, so now that I've got you kind of thinking about pairings with this tea, what do you think you would try to pair with the pumpkin time tea? I love to see when people come up with their own ideas. I know Stephanie talked earlier about adding some cacao or some kind of chocolate flavor to it a little bit. That sounds delicious. And this gets to one of the reasons why we really enjoy creating these blends. Each blend has a story, first of all. It's inspired by a season, a memory, a place. Sometimes you ask for certain flavors, but you start thinking, you start really thinking about foods and what you enjoy for flavors. And, that could be a tea. I can't tell you how many times now I have notes all over the place. And sometimes they're in my phone and I email them to myself and I'm going through to clear out my emails. I'm like, there's a flavor combination. There's one I came across recently and it was actually in my handy dandy assistant's notes. I was on his phone checking to see your shopping and he had the shopping list on there to see if we had anything else that we needed while we were in Topeka. And it was a cranberry pear tea. I was like, I'd forgotten about that. I really that was a flavor combination that struck me one day and I want to try it. I don't try and chase trends. I'm not trying to always fit my tea into what the latest trend is. I just love creating flavors that taste good to me or that members of the tea family have suggested because they like those flavors. Because really tea is about taking a moment for yourself, curling up with your favorite book, hanging out with friends, enjoying certain things. It's about the moment. And so that's why I know a lot of people love fall. It's Rich's favorite season. So mine is spring and fall. I can never decide. I love that when it's chilly at night, but you can leave the windows open and just cuddle up with an extra blanket, and then it still gets warm enough that you could potentially put shorts on during the day. I love those kind of days because I love having my windows open. No AC, no heat. Just that wonderful time to sit out on the porch in the morning, maybe snuggled up in a hoodie or something, enjoying your moment to start the day.
Cranberry gravy maple syrup. Yes.
We're not doing a cranberry gravy maple syrup flavor. Okay. So handy dandy assistant is not in charge of making the flavors. Sorry.
Turkey.
But I highly recommend. Now, there you go. Now you can see that color. And it looks like a black tea. I smell this light aroma of pumpkin, but the spices are kind of behind it. So you don't miss out on either the tea or the spices. You're not just drinking pumpkin juice. So that's one of the things I love about it. So let me know if you think of another flavor combination that or a food that you would pair with it. And I will say that next week is our third. Yes, it will be our third Monday. So we will be doing question and answers. I am actually probably going to be playing with another tea that I've kind of been playing with in the background. Not sure what's going to happen. And on that note, not sure of what's going to happen. We only were able to freeze dry a limited amount of pumpkin last year because we wanted to experiment more than create. So pumpkin time will be available. It will be very limited. I am only going to be making a total of how many ounces did we say? I think we said we only had enough to make like 20 ounces of it. So I think it's going to be a limit of 20 ounces, 21 ounce pouches. And when it's gone, it's gone. And so we'll do 20, but we will do 10 that will be caffeine free. So there'll be a total of 30 altogether. At 20 will be with the black tea and 10 will be with the honeybush tea. And so that's it. This year we will be freeze drying more pumpkin as it comes into season. And now that we've found a place that we can get, you know, again, organic, heirloom, non-GMO, like those are the things we want to respect. Obviously trying to go as local as possible. So that is one of those things. This will be very limited. I'm only doing so many ounces of it. We're only doing the 20 ounces of the black tea and we're only doing 10 ounces. So once it comes available in September, I will let you know. VIPs, I think it'll be available the last week of August, but everybody else, it will probably be September 1st. And like I said, when it's gone, it's gone. We'll make more obviously next year when we can freeze dry more pumpkin. Questions about pumpkin time or comments about pumpkin time? Now we're talking all about this Thanksgiving dinner, and you're making me hungry for Thanksgiving. It's not good right this second. It's a little too warm to be thinking about cooking. Actually, I think we have Thanksgiving dinner that we froze and vacuum sealed that might be in our freezer. So we might be able to have some Thanksgiving dinner. We still do that. We still make a huge turkey, like a 22, I like 24-pound turkeys. I always tease my husband, like, I don't know how to make a small turkey. I mean, obviously I could. And then even when it's just the two of us, make the whole thing, take it out, we eat it. But then that same day we let everything cool down and then we take some of the turkey and some of the stuffing and all that stuff and freeze it and then vacuum seal it, put it in the chest freezer. And that way when summer comes and it's too hot to cook, you just can take it out, warm it up in the little toaster oven, make some gravy, and you are done. And some mashed potatoes, and you're done. You have a full Thanksgiving dinner that you can enjoy, and you didn't heat up the kitchen. So there you go. There's your pro tip for enjoying fall all year round. There you go. Okay, well, I don't see any questions or other comments coming up. So I will say I will see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully you'll enjoy some of our pumpkin time tea soon. And we will see you next week for question and answers. So have a great week, everybody.